Hello and welcome to this week's energy forecast. My name is Laura Fleming. It's been a while. Thank you for tuning in today. I felt called to show up today, unlike the past couple weeks, because I was going through this inner transformation where things that have been lodged so deep within my physical body are finally coming up to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And for me anyway, when I go through a process of deep unearthing of buried memories, of pain, of trauma, of whatever it may be, I be like the wolf and I go into the cave and I hide out and I allow myself this internal evaluation, and I get the support that I need from whoever it may be. So in the past couple of weeks, a theme that continues to show up, and maybe it's shown up for you as well, is the caretaker. So the caretaker, the way I would define that in the way that I'm referencing it, but maybe it sits differently for you, but the caretaker that caretakes emotions. So you don't say something to your dad because you know he's gonna feel hurt by it, he'll feel upset, so you don't say anything. And you deal with the repercussions of having boundaries crossed or whatever that relationship may be. You know something, but you don't wanna confront somebody because of how that could change things. You withhold information from your partner because you know it could cause some sort of fight. So it's like you're caretaking the different people in your lives, caretaking their emotions. It's like, I know how this is going to turn out for you, or I know how you'll respond. So therefore, since I know, right, we know how this person's going to respond, what's the point? Why even go there? You know, this is the status quo. We've been doing it this way for as long as we have, so why all of a sudden should I change things? So in the past couple weeks, I say weeks, but then I like flashback to, the summertime. It's really been since the summertime that I have been reevaluating my caretaking role. And it's funny because I don't do it with my clients, which would be the perfect kind of scenario I've created for myself, that I help people with their stuff and I take on their emotions and I caretake them. But if anything, if you're a client of mine, I very much so feel open to acknowledge what I feel in you and work it out with you. And again, it's probably not about me, but it's about other things in your life that's kind of hard to face. And I do that seamlessly. The area I struggle with is people that are really close to me. I struggle with that caretaking. It's something I've done since I was very young, my mom being diagnosed with cancer. I knew she was going to die. I knew I wouldn't have her very long. And other people around me seemed to not be dealing with it in the way that I was. And I felt like I was dealing with things the best way possible, which is facing it. Just keep looking at it. Let's keep addressing it. As emotion comes up, let's see it. Let's feel it. Let's tell the truth about it. And that way it can transmute and shift. But many other people, especially my mom and my dad, weren't looking at those feelings, maybe because they didn't have the capacity to. Whatever the reason was, I became a caretaker of other people's feelings. So just recently, allowing myself to have the hard conversations, to say things I haven't said before, reveal my truth, not in an attempt to get an apology, but more so to clear the air, but even more like on a deeper level, to clear my own body. I was supposed to be doing my black belt test. I injured my ankle, which then turned into a calf injury, which then turned into a hamstring, hip, right? And going to PT recognizing these different patterns, these injuries I've had for some time, pretty much since I was 15 years old when my mom died, and addressing these issues, the physical symptoms, has allowed me to address the emotional symptoms as well. And that's really my work with you as a client. Maybe you come in with a sore knee, or maybe, you call me and you're saying like, I have so much anxiety, I can't even deal, I don't want to be here anymore, whatever it is that you come to me with. So yeah, my work is addressing all levels of the being. And when I went to address my physical being, which was specifically my hip area, where I've really lodged in some painful memories and traumas, as I started to get help, the physical help, it started opening up some emotional wounds that I thought I was good with. And I am actually not very much so good with, and I've had to have really hard conversations. And what these conversations are allowing me is space in my body, allowing me the freedom to finally process the root of where this hip pain is coming from. Not just the symptoms, not just the side effects, but like, where did this stem from? And in that process, the biggest thing I have discovered is our need for community. Me and my partner, Brad, both would be considered counter-dependent. We, as children, very much so went from, I need my mom, I need this, I need that, to, I don't need anybody. I've got me, I'm good. No one can really help me because of our situations with our mothers. So for me to allow help in, for me to finally go to PT for an injury that's 17 years old, it was really the ankle that brought me in there, which was a couple months old. That was me allowing the help in, allowing my community, allowing the network of my doctors to help me get better, which has opened up these channels with friends and family and my partner to expose more of my truth in an attempt to no longer caretake other people. So it's like, where do you begin? Well, first, looking at what's most present for you right now. Noticing maybe a pattern of yours or something that seems to be up. And by up, I mean like in your existence, you think about it, you're talking about it, you're feeling it. And first just bringing awareness to what is up. And then instead of going to the mind that says, I don't know how this is gonna go, what's this gonna look like, what's this gonna change, instead checking on with the physical body. Where do I feel this pain in my body? If you've had a lack of boundaries, if you consistently let your line get pushed and pushed and you're pushing back and your back's against the wall now, eventually you lunge forward, right? Eventually you snap. So addressing where that pain is. So everything is energy. Everything begins as this energetic thing. Then it sometimes comes with, usually is paired with emotions. And then from there, if it's unaddressed, it turns into some sort of physical thing. So this idea of community, helping one another, and not in the kind of old-fashioned, that's the word that's coming up, the old-fashioned way of, I'm dumping on you, I'm not really looking for a solution, I'm just gonna I'm gonna just lay it there on your lap and then I'm gonna move on. It feels like we kind of let some steam out of the pressure cooker when we dump on somebody about what we're experiencing. But as a collective, I see that we are looking for bigger solutions. We have bigger problems and we're asking for bigger solutions. And with bigger solutions, instead of going to a friend, going to a therapist, going to whoever and dumping, it's, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. I'd like your feedback. Because with community, you know, I was talking to a friend earlier today, and I was asking her input on something, and she used some very specific words that she didn't even know are the words that I needed. But this is the point of community. This is where we need to, you know, put our ego inside that says, oh, I know already, so there's no point in talking to anybody else because I already know. And maybe you even look at me, if you've been to me, you're like, how do you have blind spots? We all do. And I am no different. I am human. I'm walking along this human path with you. Even though I have these intuitive abilities to read someone else, I have my own stuff to be working through as well. So with this community member, she shared with me, or she said, she gave me feedback and was like, that's exactly what I need to hear. Thank you so much. Because she said, you know, I know if you say that, it could hurt their feelings. And maybe you want to refrain from that right now because they're going through a hard time. And I was like, oh, that's the ticket. I am still caretaking other people's emotions that are not mine. And therefore, I'm taking on their energy. I'm taking on kind of like, imagine a backpack. And every single time you withhold information, you don't speak up, you don't share something that feels important to share, you're stuffing that away in your backpack. And so when we caretake other people's emotions, we're putting their stuff in our backpack and going, I can handle it, I'll be all right. And you know what? It's not that we're not all right, but we're shifting to a higher frequency. And so a higher frequency, it feels lighter, feels easier, feels more transparent, more truthful. You know that saying, and I've seen it so many times the past week or so, is the truth sets you free. And I remember my mom always saying, like, Laura, you are this truth seeker. But, you know, sometimes when we're hunting for the truth, we get kind of wrapped up in it. And she told me that the truth will always reveal itself. There will come a point in time where that truth must burst open and be seen. And you know, I kind of took that with a grain of salt, and now in my experience, in my work, that is what I do. I help reveal the truth of who you are, and I help you see anything that stands in your way to living in your power, living in your truth, living an empowered experience where you feel like, yes, I've got shadows, yes, I've got light stuff, and it's all welcomed. All of it's okay. So me reaching out to that friend and allowing the help in helped me take an action that I've been unable to take for 17 years now. And now I'm able to show up. And a part of me with this energy forecast, it's a really grounding thing. It's helpful for me. I don't know what I'm gonna say here. It just comes out. And the time away, every day I'm like, oh, energy forecast, oh, showing up, doing this channeling work. But I needed that time of introverted seclusion so I could really unravel some of this in a way that made me feel safe. And I will tell you that doing it on my own did not make me feel better. It did not make me feel safe. Starting to open up to my partner, to my friend, to whoever it is, even allowing that physical therapist to physically help me, that is the ticket. Where I stand right now with the previous conversations I've had just today, I feel safe. I feel safe in my body. I feel like I've got me. I feel like I can trust the way that I feel. I can believe the senses I get from other people, from other scenarios, from where I'm meant to go, who I'm supposed to be with, who do I stay away from. I can trust me. And that is the gift of telling the truth. The truth really does set you free, but it's fucking scary. It's scary to tell the truth because it potentially threatens the status quo. But if you look around, Mother Nature isn't about keeping the status quo. It's about, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Yesterday, I was exercising with Brad, and we actually exercise where I put the Reiki table. So if you've been here, you know what I'm talking about, the big window. And I'm on the ground doing an exercise, and I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, a wasp. Like a wasp, like it got cold, it's warmer, and it's like, yes, Mother Nature's like, the bees are like, or the wasps are like, you know what? There's still time. This weather change, there's still time to do other things. And it's like, Mother Nature's never like, this is it, I'm done, lock it down. It's like, let's see. Always taking the temperature. So letting Mother Nature be a beautiful reflection for you in, you know, sometimes it's sunny and warm, sometimes it's dark and gloomy. Neither is better or worse. It's just constantly changing states. And to continue to evolve means that we continue to lighten the load. Life alone is a responsibility. It's a burden to be alive, to have to put food on the table, to have to love other people, whether you like it or not. It's hard, but also such a blessing. So when you reveal your truth, when you continue to allow the truth to rinse through you and at least tell yourself the truth, then you become this light for other people. I shared with two very close friends of mine something that had happened, and I was so afraid to tell them my truth. But something in me said, today is the day you go forth and you do it without the fear of the repercussions. And I keep touching right here. This is the solar plexus. This is the emotional center. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit raw and vulnerable, but safe. So I shared with them my experience, and they came back with love. And I know that I am really fortunate to have that. Not everybody has that, and I completely get that because there's other areas in my life where I tell the truth and it's not received all that well. But in this scenario, it was. And even for one of my friends to turn around and say, thank you for giving me permission to make a change that I've been wanting to make, and you really kind of sealed the deal for me. So with my caretaking of other people's emotions, so often I don't say something because I think of the negative effect it may have. But you know what I realized? I'm not always thinking of the positive impact it could make, and that I am not God. I am not all-seeing, all-knowing. Yeah, I'm intuitive, but that doesn't mean I know someone else's soul path and plan. I do not know how me being in relationship with these two girls, I do not know how that impacts the rest of their lives. I can assume, which I have been. And then today to say to myself, you know what? The truth sets me free. I'm going to keep facing the stuff that feels hard, not to clean anything up, but really to set myself more free. And that's, who doesn't want to feel more free? There's a time and place for everything, right? There is sometimes we feel like it's just not the right time. It's just not the right time. And then it never really feels like the right time. And I'd say hard things that have some fear wrapped around them or intertwined in them, it never feels like the right time. So instead of kind of jumping out of yourself and going to everybody and I want to tell you the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth, you know, instead of that, if that feels like too much for you, if that does feel like, yes, you know, I'm fucking ready, let's go forth and do that. If it doesn't feel like the time, at least do the most important step, which is telling yourself the truth that, yeah, I want this to be different. Yeah, I need to address that. And right now I need to process my own feelings about it so I can be a little bit clearer. But notice where you're kind of negotiating out of fear and not moving forward because you're afraid to. But my point, tell the self the truth first. Tell yourself the truth first, because that little opening creates this sensation in the body, the sense of freedom. And then energy attracts like energy, so you'll feel more and more and more and more called to speak your truth, and not in an attempt to, like when I was talking to my friends, I wasn't doing it so they apologized. I wasn't doing it so I could change the past. I wasn't doing it for any other reason than I needed to get it off my chest. I've been holding on to this for so long unnecessarily, and I am done with it. And the second I set something free, you know what it does? It allows it to change. It allows it to transmute in whichever way is for the highest good of all involved. So, again, in my work, that's what we're doing together. And I say together because, yes, I do the channeling and provide the healing, whether it's on the phone or in person. But you are the one that's saying, yes, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up and not know exactly what I'm getting out of this. I'm going to show up and see what comes forth for me to witness, to address, to move through, to transmute. I've had more people tell me things that they've never told anybody on my table or over the phone, because you understand that I'm not the judge. I'm not here to judge. I am curious about your life story. I am curious about where that emotion got tucked away and how that's showing up for you. It's like we're on this path together, and I am just as curious and eager to see how this unfolds. But I will say that the number one thing that I will always continue to promote is you doing what you feel is in your best interest. Therapy or whoever is influencing you, whoever is having kind of like a little bug in your ear, always remember to check in with your own body, check in with your own self and see, how does this feel to me to own this? How does it feel to me when I say this? And it's amazing how deceitful the mind can be, because the mind's trying to protect us. What a wonderful gift that is. But the body tells the truth. And the last piece of this, which I am just realizing for myself as well, so thank you, is celebration, which I've been doing, celebrating any level of progress. And also the thing that just came through that I was like, oh yes, forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for not speaking up sooner. Forgiving that past version of you that made the choices you did that got you in the tangle that you are in now. Because forgiveness is yet another tool to set yourself free and set others free. More than anything, forgiveness creates space for things to shift. And what better message to receive before the new year? I am going to be on vacation, so I won't be having sessions the last week of this year, but I do plan to do a group or two healing. I will send an email about it if you're on my email list. If you're not on my email list, you can follow me on social media. It's at Reach Your Happy, and you will find information about a healing there. And if you want to be on my email list, you can go to reachyourhappy.com and you can submit your email and you'll be on my newsletter list, and you'll get all the notifications for when I'm doing groups or whatever, change of schedule, a change of anything at all. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this message finds you well. I know you are strong, I know you are capable, and I know that you heard this for reasons still yet to be revealed. So I hope you enjoy the unfolding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take good care.